having me today.
That's great. I'm so glad you can join. I'm really excited. The analyst community, in my opinion, doesn't get as much attention as it deserves because I think there's a lot of value in the whole analyst relations and the tech analyst space. So tell us a little bit about yourself to the audience and what led you to the journey of becoming an analyst relations professional.
Absolutely. So as you mentioned, my name is Terezia. I've been in analyst relations for about 4 years now. And in terms of my journey, and also something that everyone speaking to plenty of other AR managers would notice, is that we all have very unique stories how we started this job. I doubt there was anyone who said, okay, I'm going to pursue this career. So I feel like everyone just kind of randomly ended up doing analyst relations before they knew what the job exactly entailed, but they ended up loving it. And that's my case as well. So I was one of the few fortunate ones in analyst relations to actually start in AR right out of university. So analyst relations was my very first real full-time job. And I've been there ever since. However, I did have my rough patches here and there. At certain points, I considered actually moving to product marketing full time, but luckily I stayed on. And as I mentioned at the beginning, I'm one of those people who ended up loving that job, and I cannot really imagine doing something that wouldn't be related to analyst relations.
Very nice. I think in general, like when you're talking to people, how do you explain your job to people?
That's so tough, especially to people who don't really have or understand the concept of buying software, because that's really where you start. What I like to say, and many people in AR don't like it, and I don't want to imply that analyst relations is the same as public relations. But I do, like to say that it's similar to PR. However, instead of media, our focal point are analysts. And then depending on the person I'm talking to and how much time I have, I go into the details about what the job entails. But I've never attempted to explain it either to my grandma or my parents, because that just wouldn't go well. So they just say, when someone asks them, they just say, I work in software, and then I talk a lot throughout the day, and that's it.
Yeah, nice. So as you just talk about your job today, what excites you in analyst relations? I think we were talking about when we were thinking about the show. We were talking about technology and how to make our jobs more efficient. So talk a little bit about that, Terezia. So-
Absolutely, yeah. So I think what really excites me about my job right now, because there's a lot of tasks that we typically do as analyst relations managers, but I do like to, in the free time that I have within my job, I do like to think about some of those more unorthodox ways how I can help my company in the position of an analyst relations manager. So what I really mean is really, tying my job and my position within the company closer to organizations like sales. Because I will admit that when I started in analyst relations, people from product marketing or product management were the closest natural allies. However, I soon realized that, one of the things that I really need to work on, and one of kind of my gaps or weaknesses, was building rapport with sales. And what I like to, tell other folks, and also something that we recognize as AR managers, is that we are so successful as important and strong our relationship with sales is, and if we can really showcase how we influence revenue, then our position is really strong. So what are the things that I can do to make that position stronger and showcase my direct or analyst's influence on revenue? And that's really hard. However, I'm sure that a lot of the AR managers looking at this stream right now are screaming at me, how do I find the time to work with sales in a meaningful way and help them out with actual deals? Because we have so many, major evaluations to manage, and they are actually our daily job and our most important priority when those start. And I totally hear them. I also have major evaluations to manage as well. However, what has been amazing about the time we live in is, all of the AI, starting with the regular AI, then introduction of Gen AI and agentic AI right now. So incorporating more of that into my work has been really helpful in cutting the time I need, for example, on those major evaluations, and then dedicating the time that I save on building strong relationship with sales and having more initiatives with them, which I'm happy to go into a bit more detail on as well in our conversation.
Yeah, that's great, because repeatedly when my conversations with AR professionals, I think every company has a different way of proving ROI or the value of analyst relations. What are some tips you'd like to give from your own experience on the way you can showcase analyst relations is not just within marketing, but spans, especially could it influence product development or the product roadmap?
Sure. So obviously, one of the things that I believe is crucial in this is for, especially if you're in a company with, let's say, less mature AR program, because I know there are plenty of companies and plenty of AR programs that are very mature, and all of the stakeholders already know how to utilize analysts for things other than evaluative research. My experience has been with companies that are less mature in this way. So what I like to do is, first of all, be very proactive with my stakeholders in understanding what are the areas that are top of mind for them right now, what are the things they are researching, and how can I help, and how analysts can help get them to the outcomes that they need. And obviously, this is not necessarily tied to the objectives that I have for my AR program, meaning, I have my set of topics that are critical to discuss for the success of the next major evaluation. But then I also want to dedicate some time to topics that will help these stakeholders. So being very proactive, but then also having a good reporting system to actually show the outcomes. Because it's one thing to schedule a call for chief product officer and have them discuss, some future vision or future research area, future product area with an analyst. But then what I want to do as the AR manager is to track this conversation and ensure that I kind of tag it or label it as, internal feedback from analysts to our product team. And then once I see that, okay, based on their advice, we shipped a feature or we made some change either to the product or our company strategy, then I want to have a record of that. And once we have our regular overviews and summaries with the executive team to actually show back to them that not only do analysts influence our revenue, but they also influence our decisions as a company and actual features that we ship or decisions that we take. But I need that proof, and in order to get to that, I do need to track it. It's a bit of work, but from my experience, it's been very helpful in showcasing that influence beyond just the major evaluations and sales.
Very nice. I think it's very good. And I want to give a shout out to some of the people who have joined us. Leonard Goff, nice to see you. Patrick O'Rourke, thank you for your comment. And, this is very interesting. And I also want to showcase one question that's come up from Leonard. So, a lot of people, I think, tell me if you agree, a lot of people change careers and get into analyst relations. I know a lot of good professionals who have come from other professions. So what do you think of Leonard's question, and what are your thoughts?
Okay, yeah. So what advice do I have for someone with a year or less of experience with AR and their first time doing analyst relations? I was in those shoes, and I think actually there is a superpower that can be found in that. So for someone who transitioned from a certain type of career to analyst relations, I think it's really about utilizing your previous experience. I was talking to someone who had very deep sales experience and they transitioned into analyst relations, and I think those people are very well positioned to actually build that rapport and relationship with sales because they understand them so well. They've been in their shoes, they know exactly what they need. So that's one thing. Or if you were in product management, same story. Or if you have very deep experience with content creation, it's about leveraging that. But then I also think it's really about, at least when I started in analyst relations, I didn't have anyone to actually show me how it's done. I joined a company where they didn't have a seasoned team or seasoned AR leader who could show me the ropes and how to actually do this job. What are the best practices? And although it was very challenging at the time, it actually taught me to be very creative with how I approach analyst relations. One of those things or examples was that I utilized a lot of third-party applications or tools that are not built for analyst relations, but I made them work for me. And actually right now, I'm capitalizing on that because, for example, only one time in my career have I done a major evaluation in a spreadsheet. And that's the typical tool that AR people use to actually complete major evaluations. So, not actually knowing how to do the job opened so many doors for me because now I have this, I would say, this experimentation mindset that I hopefully still kept. So really tapping into that, really looking at, other kind of lines of work, such as, product marketing, what's happening there, or sales enablement, what are the trends there, and pulling bits and pieces from that and trying to apply it into analyst relations, I think is a very good strategy.
Very nice. Ayuthi, what are some new projects that you're thinking of as for the future? How are you going to, like, there was a comment on, how AI has made people's jobs much easier. And I think Leonard also has a question on what tools do you use, and are there any industry standard tools?
So, well, industry standard, well, I only know of two tools that are out there that are purpose built for analyst relations. Giving them a bit of advertising right now, it's Spotlight Oz and AR Insights Architect, which are basically CRM tools, I would call them, or just, databases where you can store all of the records from, analysts, your analyst profiles, all of your interactions, insights, all of that stuff. Besides that, I don't really think there's anything specifically built for analyst relations. However, one project that I'm actually working on right now, and I do hope it will not be future but present, is actually managing major evaluations with the use of AI in a kind of custom-built, purpose-built interface that really serves the purpose of analyst relations and the major evaluations. And it's a project. It's a passion project for me, as you can maybe tell, because as I mentioned at the beginning, I have only once used a spreadsheet, and it was a terrible experience for me. So based on that experience, I was looking out there for other tools. I found some that were working quite well, but then, now with all of the AI power, I wasn't able to actually build something of my own. So this is it. It's already a working product. I already completed my first major evaluation using this tool, and just to share some highlights from that and to actually show you that it really works and it really provides that ROI. So we got our preliminary results back. And so this wasn't, a typical major evaluation where you have a grid and you get a certain title, whether that's leader or major player. The concept that this analyst firm uses are medals. So they award medals for certain market categories that are part of the evaluation. And so my company was participating in this report also a year ago. So compared year over year, we actually doubled the number of gold medals. So that's kind of the highest award that you can get for those market categories. And we completed this evaluation in under 1 business week, so in under 5 days, which I think, both of these achievements, not only the results in terms of the medal, but also the time saving, are huge. And I'm now setting out to use this tool also for an MQ. So we'll see. That will be the true pressure test because MQs are huge. There's over 300 questions. But I'm very hopeful to see how it goes, and already having this great success with it. I keep my fingers crossed for similar success with the MQ as well.
Brilliant. I really love everything that you're sharing on this. Just for the audience who's live now and for people who will listen to this recording later, please watch the previous episode also, because we have asked a similar question and there are some tools that are available there too. But you're right, there seems to be an opportunity for more AR tools. And I think most AR professionals are also entrepreneurs by profession, by not having as much resources that they would like, at the same time having so much to do. So I agree. But tell me, Terezia, we'll change the subject to a little bit about yourself. Like, where is the energy coming from? What do you like to do outside of analyst relations?
Oh, well, I gotta admit that a lot of my time is spent on analyst relations, whether that's my full-time job or building this new tool. So I do spend, unhealthy amount of time thinking and you're doing something related to analyst relations. But I would say at this point I love it, so I'm not even bothered. But when I'm not working, I lead very active lifestyle. So it's really just a bunch of sports. I've been dancing for a lot of years, so I take a lot of dance classes throughout the week. I go to the gym a lot. I ride horses. I play golf. So it's, if I'm doing something, it's going to be something out of these sports.
Very nice. Seems like a very active and interesting activity. We just talked a little bit about personal branding. I mean, we didn't, but what about AR professionals and their personal branding? How do they expand that? How do they get in touch with others in the community? Is it events? Is it like having coffee chats? What do you think? What do you do?
Yeah, I think personal brand is, I think it's super important for any profession, but especially for analyst relations, because everyone in this job can already tell this is really a small, tight knitted group of professionals. Almost all of us kind of know each other, either from events and conferences or just from LinkedIn. So it's very important to, get your name out there and become someone that the other AR professionals know. I think also in terms of career opportunities, there's so many good career opportunities you can get out of your network rather than, blindly applying to positions that are open. Although, if you gain a great job through that channel, I applaud you. But I do think, especially in this area of work, it's really, really important. And I think it really starts, for me, it started on LinkedIn. I'm based in Europe. I'm not, surrounded by other AR professionals. My job is virtually unknown around here. So I didn't have any other opportunity than just to start reaching out to people on LinkedIn. And, you can either just connect with them or, you can ask them for virtual coffee. I know that every single person that I've met in analyst relations, they're extremely open to meet with you, share best practices, talk to you. So that's something that's great about this community. And then there are some professional communities that you can become a part of and then attend conferences that are specifically tailored for analyst relations folks. And then again, that's another great opportunity, especially for those who are earlier in their careers. If you have this opportunity to join such an event, I highly recommend it. There are sessions run by professionals who have been in the area for almost longer than I'm alive, and they do share those best practices that I, for example, didn't have when I started my career. So I absolutely recommend it. But it all starts with just the LinkedIn connection and just setting a goal for yourself. So I don't know, connect to analyst relations professionals every day, for example, and just build out your network in this way. And then for those who already have some years of experience or some interesting projects to share, I also believe in giving back to the community. I'm someone who shares a lot, publicly on my LinkedIn. And I do believe it's about also giving back. And if you had great experience or something really worked out for you, share it with your colleagues, and then it will get back to you in form of some other advice and best practices that they share with you.
Very nice. I want to say hello to Rajiv Saxena, who's joined us on LinkedIn. Thank you for the right word. And LinkedIn is a great thing. I think Leonard says IIAR and the AR tribe are some resources and some events from Patrick too. So this is really great. Terezia, we connected on LinkedIn and now you're a guest on our show. This is really great.
There you go.
No, I appreciate your time, and I'm looking forward to our paths crossing in real life sometime.
That would be awesome.
And yeah, so one thing I didn't, since I'm very new to hosting this show, I didn't start the live recording when I wanted to. So as we say goodbye to Terezia, we're going to welcome Sarbjeet by playing the intro once again. Terezia, you're more than welcome to stay and watch the rest of the show, and I'm sure people will keep asking questions and commenting on it. But thank you very much for being on the show, and hope you have a great summer. Until next time, bye.
Thank you so much for having me. Bye bye.
There, I think I wanted this music to welcome Sarbjeet Johal because this music was actually created by Music LLM. And I wanted it to be a mixture of both like Asian, traditional, and Western music. So Sarbjeet, welcome to the Talking Headless show, and so happy to have you. And thank you for joining a little earlier. So you heard part of what Terezia was talking about, right? So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and let our audience know what drives you, how you have achieved such a position of a well-known technology analyst.
Thanks, Shashi. Appreciate it. Actually, I was able to listen to Terezia's part as well. Yeah, she gave, I think, great insights about like if when somebody fresh enters this field and how do they feel and what they sort of situation they get into and how they grapple with the situation and pick the tools and bond with the existing AR folks from other companies and they learn that way, right? So yeah, my brief introduction is I've been in tech for the last 30 years or so. I've been living in Bay Area, Silicon Valley for since '94. So yeah, I mean, I live in the trenches of the tech, if you will. And I have done a lot of development, software development. I started as a programmer, did, did write a lot of code, built a few systems at Visa, McDonald's, Commerce One, and then PeopleSoft. And then after that, I joined EMC. Then from EMC, I went to VMware. It was the same tenure, 4 years or so. Then Rackspace, and then Oracle again. And I've been doing independent work for last about 8 years or so, 8, 9 years. In the beginning, I invested money into an incubator, and which has taken 150 startups or so through the program so far. But I tapered off my engagement with that incubator over the years, and now I work as an industry analyst. Actually, this was the label folks gave me. I wanted to be a consultant, go-to-market consultant, and people started calling me that you're an analyst, so the vendors, and they started inviting me to events, and here we go. So I can tell you a little later about my brief journey, and actually journey and brief, and it's a brief journey as well. Actually, I'm not a traditional like um, an analyst from get-go. I come from practitioner background, so yeah, that's a quick introduction.
Good. So here's another career changer. So did you train in software or what's your background? Because I'm very interested. I think the future is going to be people changing their careers midway quite often. So what did you graduate in and how did you move from software or move into software?
Yeah, actually, my life so far has been like of changes. Like I start doing something and then I'm end up doing something else. So it's just like many other startups, and many other
Yep.
companies, like they launch a product and then they end up doing something else. So yeah, I'm economics major actually, a bachelor's in mathematics and economics, and then master's in economics, and I was doing my PhD in economics, so focus on econometrics when I moved to US, and I never finished my PhD. So and then I fell into software here. I was doing some work in India when I was there, in early part of 94, 93 also. I was working with a think tank doing data analysis and doing research on a socioeconomic sort of phenomenons, if you will, like pre-program studies and post-program studies for Indian government as well as 3 state governments in India. So I was very familiar with the research part, like what it takes, primary data, secondary data, how you interview people, and then the policymakers on one side and the industry on other. All the stakeholders need to be accounted for when you're doing a good, decent quality of research, I will say. And then during that research, I was doing data crunching. I was coding as well. It was DBase. We were writing stuff in WordStar. I don't know.
Oh,
People
wow. I remember those things. Yes.
So Foxpro DBase. I did some Pascal as well. Fortran for some very deeper analysis there on data side. And we used to have like these malnutrition PCs, and we thought they were the best machines ever, right? So I did that. I got the data from tapes from Punjab government or central government of India, and people usually don't believe that we had data on tape, and then we will take on a bunch of floppy
Probably
drives.
even till 10 years ago.
That was in 91, 92. So I was in college, and I was studying and doing the work at the same time. So yeah, actually, I got the taste of programming in the master's degree. As there was a computer lab and took evening course. Kind of fell in love with it, but still, economics was my passion. And then when I came to US, I got a job as a programmer in Chicago, working for McDonald's. And yeah, actually, after that, I still had this bug in my mind that I wanted to finish my PhD, but I didn't, because the dot com happened. And when I moved to Bay Area, I joined Visa, and other companies, headhunters will call you left and right. It was like 96, 97 timeframe, 98, and they will throw money at you, like, okay, here we'll double your salary, this, that. And then I ended up joining a company called Commerce One, and it happened to be one of the best IPOs of the dot-com days. And yeah, it was great tenure. It was one of the best 10 years in my career. I learned a lot. A company went belly up like after the dot-com. We competed with Ariba. People who are industry veterans, they know this name pretty well, because some people know it from fun side. Some people know it from the pain side. A lot of people made a lot of money from our stock, and a lot of people lost a lot of money. So our stock
That's
went from $21 to $999 within a span of like 2.5 years or so. It was crazy days. So yeah, it's
So
like,
let's take it to today. You're a successful analyst. How do you build your personal brand? What is it that makes companies seek you, to call you to events and ask you to cover them? Uh, Mainly, I mean, for two people who are live here now, and I mean, this is a show of both analyst relations and analysts. So, what has been some successes? What are some tips? I know I'm throwing a lot at you, but
yeah,
let's
no,
start
that's
with at
okay.
least personal brand first.
Yeah, the personal brand actually, it happened sort of naturally. I have a natural tendency of sharing what I'm doing, even before the internet was very hard thing, So like sharing all the coding tips and whatnot back then. But then now actually we have the social media sites for professionals. That's LinkedIn and Twitter. I started with the Twitter actually. I used
Yeah.
to follow people actually. If some listeners want some advice, um, getting started, I think it's easy. So you start listening to the people who are doing that work, who are ahead of you by 4, 5, 10 years, right? And then you start interacting with them by replying to their tweets and or LinkedIn posts, right? So LinkedIn and Twitter, I think there are two main sort of forums for business people, and especially in technology, right? So start I started commenting on the posts and with my, you know, like re- my frame of reference from my experience, because I had done a lot of hands-on work in implementations and like 10 plus countries and knowing different cultures and the systems thinking and always kind of learning, always learning, reading, learning, and that actually I think people started liking my comments, and then instead of maybe I can do my own posts, my own tweets, and then that's how I started. And then I was following some of the heavy hitters like Gary V. He's very prolific talker, and he has a lot of followers on Twitter, for example. So some of the tips, like, hey, like you always give your best, right, to the masses, and be open, be yourself. I mean, these are the tips I got, and then that's what I did, and that's what I do. And I have some rules. I never like a post without reading it, and never retweet without reading the whole thing. When I comment, I read the whole thing and then comment. I just don't comment just for the sake of commenting. So it takes a lot of time from my day, actually, even today. That's what it takes. I think it takes a lot of. I usually say that the time is the currency of relationships, and branding is all about relationships, and you're building relationships with a lot of people. Some people you know in person, some don't. Some they know you, but you don't know them. So you give your time to them, you work on their behalf, you try to serve them, you try to give them tips and share my challenges as well. Like, okay, hey, I'm struggling with this, and I wish this thing was that way, things like that. So that sort of caught on, and then my analyst relations kind of journey, as I said earlier, I wanted to be wanted to do like more like consulting. So I wanted to launch that business, but then these vendors, because I was synthesizing a lot of information from different venues. Okay, before I answer your question, let me share my philosophy with you a little bit.
Okay.
I
So,
I think I think when the change happens under our nose, we don't notice it, right? So we tend to be immune to it, right? For example, if somebody in our household, I mean, I usually give that example, and somebody in our household is losing weight, we don't notice it. But if a guest comes in, uncle, aunt, or cousins, they say, "Hey, you have lost some weight," and they notice that. They notice the change. So we notice change when we look from outside, a lot more than when we are in it, inside something. So I think I because I was a practitioner, number one, and also because I think like a more than just tech side, if you will. I think about economics of systems. I think about cross disciplinary sort of learning. I think how cars are built, how movies are made, and how we make software. I mean, they're different. They are made differently, right? So um, I, then I try to sort of adapt some of that thinking. Like, why can't we do certain things in software just like the movies are made, or bring the teams together and then they dismantle and they go away, stuff like that. Or the way the cars are made, some softwares, we used to make the software like the cars are made, so like waterfall models, and now over the years we have changed it. So long story short, I synthesized a lot of stuff, and I think that people appreciate that. People come from different backgrounds. All of us are more than what we do, you know.
yep.
We can have a music passion, and You can bring that kind of thinking into it, how music is made, and how that industry work, what their business model is. There are singers, there are producers, and all that stuff in the music industry. And same way, there we have the VCs, we have wars, we have so many different actors in this in our high tech, what we call software stacks and hardware stacks, right? SIs, um, and then try to find out what role they play, how the whole sort of big enchilada is moving, what are the convergence factors, like what's converging, right? So my philosophy is to understand the converging factors and then focus on like 2 or 3 areas. I have focused on cloud a lot in the last like 15 years or so, because I happen to work with the cloud companies like Rackspace, VMware, or I have worked on Oracle Cloud as well. And then we competed fiercely with AWS from other places. So, and now I work with Google Cloud and all these players in a different capacity, right? So your job, I think, is to find the big strands and then say, okay, what impact that will have in a year from now, 2 years from now. Actually, in few things I have learned from my tenure and investing, and when I invested money into the incubator, and sort of wasted some time and money as well there, is that when you are building something, you are building when you start building, you should know where the technology will be in a year to 18 months or so. If you're building for the technology, which is with capability of technology today, you are actually doing a big disservice to yourself, because technology will be better in 6 months, in 12 months, and 18 months. We know that it progresses like you know the Moore's law and everything. We improve
So,
high tech pretty fast. So
that's great advice. Like you're asking people, like, look at today, but predict what is going to be the future in a few months. Now, since we have our audience is mixed with analysts and analyst relations, like, what has changed in the sphere of analyst engagement? What are you seeing? Are there any trends you're seeing where, I mean, obviously this community comes together quite a bit. There's a lot of interaction between analyst relations and technology analysts. Talk about some trends you're seeing. I think I feel there is more co-optation than competition in this area. What do you think?
yeah, actually, there's more cooperation. Like I work with people from IDC. I collaborate with people from a few people from Gartner. I'm independent. Like I run a small company, and there are quite a few independents as well as boutique shops. So I mean, everybody plays a different role. This is how I see it. Like, okay, the way the analyst firms were formed, IDC, Forrester, and Gartner, those top three, right? Way back in maybe late 70s or early 80s. Actually, I have heard the stories from the people who started these companies. Like, hey, how did they build this, and what was the idea, and all that stuff. So at that back then, there was no internet, right? So to get the product information, you needed to read some publications, right? So they used to do publications. They started with just lists of vendors, then the publications of the products, and then they did product reviews. And the internet was just a baby in 94, 95, 96 till 2000. Internet was still not internet what we know today. So in the last about 20 years or so, 20, 24 years, 25 years or so, internet has gone to the sort of next level after next level. The amount of information we can get from the internet is huge. So the need to know what products a company has, it has gone down. Like you can easily get that information. You can easily get how to do something. Watch a YouTube video. You can easily get what and how and where, but you don't know why, right? So the why part is the hard part. And your question was how it's changing. So I think that the personally, I believe, like, so I may end up pissing some people off or making them mad. If you're focusing on one like little part of the system, right, that is valuable to maybe very few people. But if you're thinking about the system as whole, and you're looking at multiple parts of the system, for example, like even at high level, if somebody is working on just storage, they're storage analysts, right? So, and they're at big companies, you can find like 20 people working on storage, and there's tape, there's all this like block storage, there's all kind of different storage arrays and different mechanisms, right, protocols and whatnot. And some people just work on like, little things, and then I think they miss the big picture. I think in rise of the independent analysts is due to the fact that what and how is already out there, why we are doing this. I think that if we can tie these things together, the economics of systems, the the talent availability for these things. I deeply think about these things, right? I talk about the practitioner economics as well. So um, you have to look at all the ingredients for building software and operating it, and then say, okay, who is doing what and how the things are moving. So I think giving that information to the buyers, that sort of knowledge, if you will, like what vendors they should pick, what they should look for in a vendor, right? Is it only R&D budget, or is it like what are the top, let's say, 5 factors they should look for? And also to the vendors, how they should entice the practitioners to their brand, to their platforms. So I think that if you can provide that value, you will be a good analyst, I think.
Great. So I think the message that I'm reading is that when you talk to technology analysts, provide the why. That's much more important than the what and how, right? So that's a great message. Sarbjeet, we could go on talking for a very long time, but this was really great listening to your perspectives, your journey, and some of the ways that you think. So I'm really happy and thankful that you came to this segment. And thank you very much. And we look forward to our paths crossing again.
Thanks, Shashi. Thanks for having me, and good luck to you on your show. And I know this is the second episode. I'm glad to be part of it, and I look forward to further discussions on and off camera. Thank you. Thanks to your
Thanks,
listeners as well.
Sarbjeet. Thank you. Bye. Hi, everyone. Every time, this is a short segment, it's mostly self-deprecatory on my own. That's why I call this marketing while brown. This is a tool that not many people have heard of. It's called partyrock.aws. What I believe most practitioners, whether you're in marketing, you're in analyst relations, you should have a first-hand feel of how AI can create apps. So you should take a look at this resource. You don't have to do any programming. You can go to this site. This is by Amazon's, powered by Amazon's Bedrock, and it's part of the Amazon's AI ecosystem. I actually created an app called Shashiism. So you can say, I need an app that does X, Y, and Z, and it will create the app for you. So I thought this was a very cool tool that would be useful for everyone. And I also wanted to thank everyone for joining today's show. And as you know, this is a show that takes place every fourth Wednesday. I hope I'm right. But anyway, we will give you enough notice about the show. This is about analysts and analyst relations. We want to inspire the community. We want to actually put the community into the limelight a little bit more. That's what Paul and Brent, who produce the show on behalf of the Players Production Network. Our next show is going to be on, let me just look at it. Yeah, our next show is on July 23rd at 12 noon, the same time. Our guests at this time are Alyssa Stone, the head of analyst relations at Wiz. And also, I'm thrilled to say my friend Shelly DeMote Kramer, who's a top 20 industry analyst and advisor and strategist, will also be on the stage. So thank you very much, everyone. And also, please check out the CRM Players show, which is very regularly produced by Paul and Brent. And we'll see you next time. Thank you very much.
This has been a Players Productions Network digital broadcast.